What if everything you've been chasing, comfort, money, a better life, was already inside you? This is the story of Eliza, a woman who found treasure in the forest only to discover a truth more valuable than gold. In a peaceful village surrounded by whispering trees lived an elderly woman named Eliza. She wasn't wealthy, but everyone loved her for her warmth, kindness, and calm presence. Her house was tiny, her furniture old, yet her heart was full of gratitude. Her neighbors often visited her for advice or simply to enjoy her company, bringing her bread, vegetables, or firewood in return. Eliza lived simply, humbly, and happily. One chilly autumn morning, she walked into the forest to gather wood. The cold breeze brushed her cheeks, and the forest felt serene, almost magical. As she wandered deeper, something half buried under the leaves caught her eye, a large old pot. A sudden pang of curiosity ran through her. She knelt, brushed off the dirt, and slowly lifted the lid. What she saw made her freeze in astonishment. Inside the pot were gold coins, shimmering, bright, glittering like sunlight trapped in metal. Her heart raced. Suddenly she imagined a bigger house, a warm bed, new clothes for winter, and a life free from worry. For the first time in many years, hope burst inside her like a flame. But when she tried to lift the pot, it didn't move. It was too heavy. Most people would have given up, but Eliza had always been resourceful. She gathered wooden planks, tied a strong cloth around the pot, and created a makeshift slide. With all her strength, she began dragging the treasure toward her home. After some time, exhausted and trembling, she paused to rest. She leaned over to look at the gold, but her smile faded. The gold had turned into silver. Her heart sank. Disappointment washed over her. But she whispered to herself with soft reassurance, "Silver is still valuable. Everything will be okay." She kept going, reminding herself that life didn't need to be perfect to be good. Hours later, tired and aching, she stopped again. When she looked inside the pot this time, she felt a deeper pang, one filled with sorrow. The silver had turned into iron. A sharp wave of despair hit her. All her dreams of comfort, warmth, and freedom disappeared instantly. She sat down beside the pot, tears filling her eyes. "Why did I dream?" she whispered. "Why did I hope for more?" But as she lifted her head, the forest around her felt peaceful again. The sunlight softened, the wind carried a gentle tune, the trees swayed calmly, and in that quiet moment, Eliza realized something powerful. Before finding the pot, she had been happy, truly happy. She had her tiny home, her warm fireplace, the river beside her house, and neighbors who loved her. She had lived every day with contentment and gratitude. Wealth had not given her joy, her attitude had. The treasure had not brought happiness, it had only distracted her from the happiness she already had. Eliza stood up, wiped her tears, and smiled softly. Maybe this pot was never meant to change my life. Maybe it was meant to remind me of its value. With a peaceful heart, she left the pot exactly where she found it and walked back home. That evening, she sat beside her fireplace in her old wooden chair. The flames danced gently, and the warm glow filled her little room. She felt lighter, wiser, freer. The richest person isn't the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least. Her home didn't change, but she did. She had discovered a treasure far deeper than gold, the treasure of inner peace. The next morning her neighbors visited again. One brought warm bread, another vegetables, another firewood. Eliza welcomed them with the same tender smile she always had. They didn't know about the pot, they didn't know what she had lost, but Eliza knew what she had gained. Gratitude, wisdom, peace, and the unshakable understanding that happiness is not found in what you own, but in how you see your life. As the days passed, Eliza found herself becoming even more peaceful than before. She noticed beauty in places she had never paid attention to: the sound of the river at dawn, the way morning sunlight touched the grass, the laughter of children playing nearby. Every moment felt like a gift she had forgotten to unwrap. Sometimes she would walk through the same forest where she once found the pot, but she no longer searched the ground for treasure. Instead, she looked at the sky, the trees, and the light. She realized the forest had always given her more comfort than a pot of coins ever could. One afternoon, a small girl from the village named Isla visited Eliza. The girl asked, "Auntie, why are you always smiling, even when things are hard?" Eliza placed her hand gently on the girl's head and said, "Because life becomes easier when your heart becomes lighter." The girl didn't fully understand, but she felt something warm in Eliza's words, and that warmth stayed with her. Word quietly spread that Eliza had become even calmer, even kinder, even more peaceful. People started visiting her not just for advice, but for hope. She taught them what she had learned: that happiness does not come from what you gain, but from what you appreciate; that contentment is the deepest treasure; and that sometimes life gives you exactly what you need by taking away what you don't. Years later, when Eliza was older and her hair had turned completely white, villagers would often see her sitting near the river, smiling softly at the flowing water. Once someone asked her, "Do you ever think about the treasure?" Eliza replied, "Every day, not because I lost it, but because it taught me how rich I already was." And that was her greatest treasure, the treasure of a heart that had learned to be happy in every situation.